Genshin Impact is having Zhongli, a banner raid up. He is a Geo spear-based 5-star character that's coming to the game. But he's not the only new character that's coming to the game. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about the new characters that are coming, their skills, as well as the other characters that will be on this raid up banner, give you information on if you should pull, as well as my opinion if I'm going to max them out. I see 6 child, so I can also give you some information on how much it should roughly cost per constellation. And for the people that decide to get him, here's an Ascension chart. Shout out to the guy, Fortnite Sadu, who made this on the subreddit. Pretty useful information. You can see you're going to need yourself a lot of Lapis, okay? And Mora. And you're going to have to get that Mora yourself, because as we know, in terms of Mora, he has no Mora. His kit's actually pretty simple, but it's a solid one. He has a 6 attack rapid strike for his basic, which is 1 more than the standard 5 attack. Spear polearm users typically have a multi-hit at the end. Now, when he charges that basic attack, it's going to launch spears in the line as well, in a path behind where he lunged to. So he's going to lunge to you, and where he went, spears will go, so you can lunge through people for the damage. Now, his E is where it starts to get interesting. Basically, he summons a pillar, and that pillar is going to do AoE damage in a circle around the pillar of geo damage. However, when he has the pillar out, it makes other geo structures do the same thing. So like Ningguang's E, for instance, or the Traveler's E. For this reason, if you're a Ningguang player, you probably want this guy because Ningguang is one of the best bursting damage dealers, and I think Zhongli would probably pair well with her. Now, if he holds the E instead of just tapping it for the geo structure, he actually sucks the geo energy from anyone around him. Meaning if they have a geo shield, okay, he steals that from them, or if they are a geo element character. And what will happen is he absorbs a shield based upon his max HP from it, but he also deals AoE geo damage at the same time. Now, if no one has geo around him, he instead just absorbs geo element from 2 of the closest people. He sucks it out of them, but it doesn't cause damage. Now, his ultimate ability is probably the most fun one, and I think it's the reason people are going to want him. It's just a good old gosh darn giant meteorite, okay? So very classic wizard, huge ball comes down, smashes into the ground, okay? It applies petrification, which is kind of a new CC, which immobilizes them. Now I got all the constellations for child. It was fairly expensive. I also maxed out his Skyward Harp in order to see if the weapon was good too. And for that reason, I can tell you, if you are considering maxing out the constellations, it is really expensive, guys. It cost me $1,350 to max out child, so that's almost like $200 a pull per character. That's really bad, and that was above average for the pity. That was not at pity every single time. There's a couple of times where I actually pulled child twice in a row, so that helped, and it was still that amount of money. So keep that in mind before you get really excited as we start talking about Zhongli's constellations. So as you ascend them, we got to talk about those, the 2 Ascension passives. Ascension passive 1 is when the shield generated from the E-hold skill takes damage, character receives 5% stronger shield effect, can stack 5 times. So you get up to 25% additional shield effect, okay? Now here we have the Q deals extra damage based upon 20% of Zhongli's max HP is the second passive, which is interesting because if you look here at the ratio for that Q, which is his ultimate ability, the skill damage is 705% in addition to the HP as well. For that reason, he actually does a lot of burst AoE damage, but we need to talk about the constellations because he has some upgrades for that there. The first constellation gives him 2 geo structures. That's his E he taps. That resonates that geo damage instead of 1. That's pretty good. The second one here, I don't care about that much. It gives nearby characters shield when near his geo construct. That might actually be pretty good, but to me, it just doesn't sound that exciting. Constellation 4, this is the one I like, increases Zhongli's ultimate AoE range by 20% and extend the petrified duration by 2 seconds. So what this is referencing is how big the circle is of AoE, basically. Constellation 6, while the shields are in effect, 40% damage received is converted into restoration. Recovery does not exceed more than 8% of character's max health. So you can receive, every time you get hit, up to 8% of your max health back just while having the shield on. So Constellation 6 turns him from kind of a bursty geo damage mage to be honest, kind of a Xing Chu level healing. You get the shields, which is damage reduction, but you also get health back when you receive damage. I could see Zhongli paired with Xingqiu. If you have both of those effects up, can actually be a pretty good combination for damage reduction. I could see that being good. Are the Constellations worth it? I think the first one might be worth it. The other ones aren't as exciting until you get to Constellation 6. And like I said, it cost me $1,300 to get to 6 Constellation on the last banner. I don't think I'm going to do it again. So my buddy Skylinks Gaming actually has a pretty good breakdown of the characters as well. So if you want to see that, you can subscribe to his YouTube channel or you can check out his page. I just want to shout him out real quick, skylinksgaming.com. And I'm going to use it to break it down because it has a nice little way of showing us. Here you can see the total base stats: 11,000 HP, 5 crit, 50 damage, 24% attack percentage from the Ascension bonus. So it's another Claymore user that uses attack percentage, which is good because attack percentage is typically pretty good for physical based damage, which I think is what she's based upon. Skill 1 is Dance on Fire, which is her basic attack, 4 basic strikes, can drain stamina over time for continuous spinning attack. Another one of those spinning Claymore users. I do actually like the spinning one better than the ones we just hit in front of them. Plunging attack, very standard. And then we have the E or skill 2, Sweeping Fervor. It brandishes her instrument, dealing pyro damage on nearby enemies, forming a shield made out of her audience's passion. Remember, audience's passion because the character is actually some type of musician. Her ultimate, well, you'll see her ultimate in a second, okay? The shield's damage absorption scales based on Xinya's defense and the number of enemies hit. So you hit more people, you have a bigger shield. Okay, kind of think of this as the pyro version of Bidou, I guess. So here we have shield 250% against pyro, very standard. 3 or more enemies grants level 3, which is a rave. Also deals intermittent pyro damage to nearby enemies. So if you hit 3 people or more, you got a little bit of an AoE there. So here's her ultimate. This is what I was talking about. The Rift Revolution, okay? Strumming rapidly, she launches nearby enemies, dealing physical damage to them, hyping up the crowd. The sheer intensity of the atmosphere will cause explosions to deal pyro damage. So you both do physical and pyro. We like this a lot because physical is important for her as we get into it. Passive talents, she has a 12% chance to obtain double the proc on defense boosting. No one really cares about that, however. So if we go down to Constellations and Ascensions here. So the show goes on even without an audience. So it decreases the number of Sweeping Fervor must hit to trigger each level of shielding. That's pretty nice. It brings it down to 1 and 2. Then the next one is Rock and Roll character shielded by her shield, increases 15% physical damage. So once again, we can kind of help the physical damage type of builds. Probably a physical damage gauntlet character, or I should say goblet. Constellations here. Upon scoring a crit hit, increases the attack speed of Xinyan's normal and charge attack by 12% for 5 seconds. So I like that you get attack speed based upon the first constellation, because attack speed I've had in Jean, and I think that that is absolutely insane. Razor has attack speed too, which is a pretty big deal. So if you look here in prompt 2 opening, the physical damage has its crit rate increased by 100% and will form a shield level 3 rave wind cast. So the first 2 are actually really good for her, which is quite nice, okay? That tends to be rarer for characters. Normally the first 2 aren't that big of a deal. So if you look here, number 4, Wildfire Rhythm, Sweeping Fervor swing decreases opponent's physical resistance. So again, we have another physical-based constellation, which is great. We can actually start building a physical-based Claymore user here. So Rocking and Flaming decreases the stamina consumption of her charge attacks by 30%. Additionally, charge attacks gain bonus attack equal to 50% of her defense. So we get almost a Noelle-based thing here, which means some of your goblets that are like physical damage percentage goblets that you wanted to use, but they have like defense percentage and stuff like that you're a little bit bummed about, you'll get some value out of that as well, okay? He goes on to talk more about defense or DPS builds, etc., but I will leave you with a link to his website in case you want to go check that out. And once more, that is my buddy there, Skylinks Gaming, so give him a sub. To bring this one home in a nice tight little package, first I'm going to say subscribe and like as my sellout plug for the day. But other than that, I think that the fire-based character is kind of another Razor. Attack speed, Constellations, pretty nice. Physical damage increase is good, but the attack percentage passive is also good too, since it's Claymore. But most importantly, you have physical resistance shred, which seems pretty nice also, okay? So I could see some use there. Now, I will tell you that physical-based damage can be quite good, especially when you have a physical damage goblet. So what I see here is an opportunity to have a Claymore user if you're not really building Razor that much. That being said, Razor is another person that's getting pulled on this banner next to Chongyun, and I'm not really going to go into those because you already probably know their skills. I will say both of those are great characters. Chongyun is really great paired with Barbara, kind of a free-to-play combo. Razor is one of the best single-target DPS in the game. They both have value. Personally, I think Zhongli, here's the answer. I think Zhongli, worth summoning for either just him or him plus 1 constellation. That's my takeaway. Other than that, you would have to go all the way to 6, and that's only if you want to well out of the way. Xinyan seems worth for her first 2 constellations and all the way up to 6 constellations, as she is a purple, but she's probably worth just pulling to just try to get her maybe the first 2. If you're not really solidly into the Zhongli banner, maybe the best thing to do is try to get Zhongli, and if you got Zhongli plus 3 total Zanya, so you have the first 2 constellation, you're done. Otherwise, if you didn't get her, but you got Zhongli, maybe you pull for the first constellation to Zhongli and then try to max out the Xinyan. You know, that's my go-to impression, okay? So if this video helped you at all with your decision, like the video or subscribe. And if this video hits 1,000 likes, you're gonna see a extra large well video on the Zhongli when it comes out. Love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.